What is going on? Justin here from Native Watercraft. This week we have teamed up with Newport Vessels. I've got a Titan 10 out in front of me, and Ramel is going to help me get an NK300 on the stern.
Yeah, dude.
I'm all over the place. Don't use scissors on this. You might.
Are you squirrely this morning?
Alright, let's go. So we got our parts here. We got all our Yak Attack parts. Alright, we're going to pull all the necessities out here. Bracket, drum. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this guy. Alright, so we're going to install the trim pin. We start in the 10-degree hole. And most times that's going to be pretty much optimum, depending on the kayak, but it's I'm going to start there. Put this in there for now. Key, spoiler cord we don't need, reverse line we don't need, extra carabiner, and retract. Alright, we are going to install our retract bar. Get that going. Okay. So there is two sides to this. There's a large hole and a small hole. Large hole is for your carabiner side, and the small hole is the bolt side. Loosen this guy. So what I'll normally do is I'll take the wrench, space it out, just to get it started. Pull the wrench out, line up the holes. We want to get this lined up so it doesn't have to be completely straight right now, because we're going to readjust it once we get it on the boat. So that's pretty straight right now. We're just going to tighten the top bolt, and then we're going to make our final adjustments once we put it on the boat. So now we've got our pre-prep done on the motor. We're going to go ahead and go over to the kayak and mount the mounting bracket, and get this mounted on there, and we'll do our final adjustments.
So we went ahead and got our bracket prepped. We've got that back here. And what are you doing right now with this plate?
I'm going to do my disassembly first. I usually like to disassemble everything, so we're going to put a through hole in this plate. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this and move on to mounting the bracket.
And you do have that option for a through hole, so we are going to include this in the kit. You don't necessarily have to go through the hole, but we'd like to show you that option while we've got it. And then take out the 4-bolt pattern that's on the back. Yeah, so you can use the existing screws if you want to. But Newport does have some hardware that's included if you want to use those.
Grab our 10mm wrenches with us. We're going to grab our motor and get it mounted up. Alright, so we're going to do our final adjustments. Basically, I like to start off, especially on the Titans, with about an inch left on the shaft of the motor. So we got our, and we can adjust that depending, but I find that this is a good place to start for the Native Titans. So what we want to do is we want to line up the triangle with the shaft, and what we have is our steering lock pin. So we're going to grab that from the hardware kit real quick. I'm going to drop that in, and then we're going to finish tightening up and adjusting everything. All right. So we're going to go to our hardware kit here. This is miscellaneous hardware that comes. So these are used for flat mounting. Those are 8 mil, and we are going to use our steering lock screw, and we have this spare here extra. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this into the steering triangle. I'm going to put this in by hand. And then we're going to lock and set our true center. Alright, so that's in there. Good. So basically we're lining up our motor so that it's straight with the triangle. And that looks good. We're just going to tighten her up. We can move on to the retract. So back here we have our collar. And we're going to slide this collar up to the base of the steering drum, motor drum, and give that and tighten that up. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, but this is the way I do this particularly, and it works pretty well. So we're always going to figure out what side we want our retract to be on. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, it kind of depends on what equipment you have mounted on your boat. I'm going to have this retract to the right because I'm right-handed. So I'm just going to loop that through there. I'm going to bring my tag end through. I'm going to pull that through, like so. All right. Now we're going to take our included carabiners in the kit. We're going to install our pulley and mount that onto the retract bar. We're going to take our tag end, run that through the pulley, like so. And then we're going to take our end and we're going to go through this eyelet. All right, so we're now going to run our retract line. I'm going to set up so we got 2 included eyelets, and this is going to be our line guide on this boat. Typically, I will install this at the end of the track here. One there, and then I'll install one up here at the front. Like so. Then we're going to take our tag end and run that through, just like that. So that gives us a good path, good clear path for our retract line. Now we're going to add the handle and our cleat, which we're using a Yak Attack horizontal line tie to anchor the retract cord in the retracted position. So I'm going to just put this here for now, and then we're going to readjust that as we go along. All right, now we're going to finish off our retract line. This is going to be, this eyelet here is going to end up being my retract stop, right? So what I mean by that is when we retract our line, we're going to hook it here to this vertical line tie, and then when it's in this deployed position, your handle will end up right here. So we're going to go ahead and tie it off. So I like to do this, a couple of different ways to do this, but I find this is the best way for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that through, and then I'm going to loop it and run it back through again, like so. And that will create a loop, and then I'm just going to overhand knot those two together. Don't quote me wrong if what I call that knot is what it is. I'm not a Boy Scout, but like so, and just like that. Trimming our excess, I'm going to give it a quick snip and a nice little cook at the end. All right, so we're done with our retract line. Now we're going to move on to power, and we're just about done. All right, so we're going to install our reverse lock. So when the motor is installed without it, it's in free kick mode. So if you impact something or you hit hit a log or something in the water, the motor's going to kick up. And because it's in free kick mode, that allows us to be able to retract the motor as well. In situations where you want to run reverse, we have installed here on the motor is our reverse lock. So what happens is this cable gets pulled, the locking mechanism grabs the bar, and now you're able to run the motor in reverse. Now you can run the motor in reverse without the reverse lock, probably about up to 10% throttle. And that'll get you, moving backwards if you want to just readjust. But if you want to do any more throttle for in reverse on top of that, you have to use the reverse lock. So we're going to run that right now. I'm going to show you how to get this put on. All right, so we're going to take our carabiner kit, and this is included in the kit as well. I'm going to attach that to our reverse lock line. We're going to take our tag end, and we're going to run it through the eyelet here underneath that guy. So, all right. Then we're going to use our track mounted eyelets. I'm going to add one here, just like the other side for the retract. All right, and then we're going to add a cleat at the front end. Now, this will allow you to go into reverse lock, cleat the line, and the motor will be locked with the reverse enabled. But one thing you have to remember, in order for you to retract it and in order to get the free kick, you have to unlock this. So then we're going to install our reverse lock cleat right there. Okay. And we're going to take our line here. I'm going to run that through our eyelet. And then through our cleat. And there's our reverse lock. Alright. So we're going to finish off our reverse lock. On this one, we're going to go ahead and go through the hole that's in the, and we're just going to run our line, feed it through. So I'm going to pull that all the way through. And we're going to have it rest like so, right there. That's good. And we're going to grab our tag end. We're going to slide this down. And I'm just going to knot it. I don't need a big crazy knot here because we're not putting a lot of tension on that. Like so. And that's good. And we're just going to snip and heat, and we're good to go. So, all right. So now we got a nice reverse lock.
So on this next part, we are going to talk about power just a little bit. So you have everything that you need right from Newport to get your battery connected to your motor, but we've got a few things included. Some through-hole kits, which will essentially allow you to go through the kayak. You don't have to do that, but we're going to show you a couple of options real quick.
All right, so we're going to do very simple, clean through-hole wiring to our battery compartment here. So we're going to go ahead and use one through hole here on this plate and then one inside the compartment itself.
And this is the new gridlock hole wiring kit.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that guy over there. So what's nice about these is there's 3 holes, marked holes here. So it's a good place to use as a template for your drill. So I'm going to pick one, I'm going to offset one, I'm going to pick this guy, and we're going to drill our 1-inch hole here for the yak attack through hole. Alright, we got our included power cable kit here. This is pre-terminated with the mated plug that's on the motor. We're going to use the single hole insert, which is the largest of the cable. I do like how they did this single. Cool.
And depending on, if you want to save some real estate or not back here, we mounted it kind of sideways like this, but you can mount it long ways as well, if you don't plan on using this space for anything.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pass this wire through. What's nice is we have a really, really nice area to grab our wire through. I'm just gonna drop that down. So we can go ahead and reinstall our power link plate. All right, I usually leave a little bit of extra length on there, but you can definitely pull the excess back through. So we're going to install our Yakutech through hole for the cable here on this back side. Pre-prep here. So what I'll normally do is I'll start one side. So, alright. So this is kind of an awkward position, so what I'll do is I'll screw that down for a second and use that as a template. So I can get my holes in there. So we're going to remove this guy now. Pass our cable through. We're going to use a half blank off for the insert in this location. It'll work just fine. So now I'm just going to install our battery. So for this Titan 10.5, our 36 volt 30 amp hour fits perfectly in our spot here with the bucket in place. If we do want to get a 3640 or larger battery, that battery will have to go into a black pack or battery box. lithium batteries you can lay down without an issue. So we're just gonna strap this down with the straps that are included on our 10.5. And our battery install is complete. So now that we have our battery installed, our cable or power installed, we're gonna go ahead and last step is install our controller cable. And we are going to use Yak Attack throttle mount for this controller. Now, as far as placement goes, it kind of depends on you. Obviously, you have a lot of track to play around with, so you can install it in any location. So for instance, I'm going to remove this. I know where this goes. It's fine. Just install that and then put this back on. There. So, and lock that in. We're going to take our these are M4 metric screws. We're going to install those. Alright, so now we have our NK controller installed onto our Yak Attack mount. Now we can mount it on the lock and load, and give it an adjustment. And now we're going to take our throttle control cable. There is a male and female side. There. Now it is important to get this seated really well. Make sure it's nice and tight. And we're just going to run this back externally to our motor connection. Now for cable management, you can do Velcro ties, or depending on how long or where you mount this pathway wise. So now we're just going to connect that tail line there. So what I normally do is I'll pinch and hold one of these and then twist and rotate the other one. So now we're fully connected up. We're ready to power this thing on and give it a test. All right, so we got our motor installed, power's hooked up, controller's done. We're pretty much ready to go. Last part, turn it on the controller and give it a test.